Hi, today we're going to do an installation of a LowPro rack onto a brand new Dodge 1500 Ram pickup truck.
Go.
First thing we're going to do is we're going to open up the package and get the installation instructions out. Step number 1 says, get the following tools together for the installation. Drill driver, 5/32 metal drill bit. Number 2, Phillips screwdriver. Socket set, roof cleaning supplies, and a roll of masking tape. Okay, now this is the way your LowPro will be shipped to you. Here's the package it comes in. Step number 2 says make sure that you were sent all of the following pieces. So we'll just empty the box here. The first item is the cab roof rack unit, which is this. It's aluminum and rubber. This is for the cab. 2 cab roof mounting feet. These items here, get 2 of those. 1 tailgate rack unit. This mounts on the tailgate here. 1 adhesive promoter pack. This will be used so that we don't have to use screws on the roof. And lastly, 1 hardware packet. Here we are on step number 3, mount feet on an aluminum rail. This is the aluminum rail. It's going to mount on the roof. These are the feet that are going to attach the aluminum rail to the roof. These come pre-assembled here, so I'm going to back off the nut and the metal washer off of both. Step number 1 says place large rubber washer over the long bolt on each foot. So that's already on there. It's already on here. These bushings will function as a bushing between the foot and the rail to give it some flexibility. Place the foot on each end of the roof rail through the hole at each end of the aluminum rail. So there's a hole there and a hole there. So I'm going to match that up there, put that on there, that there. Then place the flat metal washer onto the bolt on each end, and then install the lock nuts and tighten them gently. Snug the rail to the feet. Now these lock nuts are going to be coming off again before we permanently mount the roof rack onto the roof. Okay, now we've got this unit here as one assembled unit. As a special note here, we want to make sure this hole here is a slotted hole. See how it moves back and forth there? So we want to make sure we're somewhat in the center of that hole if possible. That'll give us the greatest amount of forgiveness later when we pull the rack off and put it back on. Okay, now we've just assembled the feet onto the aluminum rail and we're ready for step number 4, which is establish the rack position on the roof. Now the first thing we've got to do, and it's printed down at the bottom of step number 4, it says, before beginning installation, make sure the roof surface is clean of all dirt, wax, and foreign substances. Now because this truck is brand spanking new, there is no wax, there is no contaminants or foreign debris or anything, but we're going to go ahead and wipe it down anyway just to make sure we've got a perfectly clean surface to work with. Now if you've got a truck that's got any age to it at all, you want to make sure that you use whatever you need to use to make sure you get a perfectly clean surface. It's important to keep a good bond on the roof. So now we're going to establish the roof rack position. And I want to take it as close to the edge as we can here to the back edge of the roof, because that's where the roof is the strongest. We want to also make sure that we get good adhesion with the foot. So we don't want to hang it over the edge like this. We want it back a little bit from there. And then we want it perfectly centered. So use your reference points here. Make sure you get a perfect center line and get your measurements exactly per the instructions. Okay, so now I've got that centered perfectly and in the exact position where I want to mount it. And here we are on step number 4A, which is mark feet position on roof. So we're going to mark the rack feet position on the roof with masking tape. So with the rack properly positioned, as we did in step number 4, near the back of the roof edge, we're going to carefully place masking tape around all 4 sides of both feet. Now the tape should be placed at the very edge of each foot, creating an outline of the foot location. This tape will serve as a marker for placement of the feet in the next step, and to make sure that the promoter doesn't go outside the needed adhesion area. So here we go. I've already put some tape on, so I'll continue with the rest of this. And it's a good idea to use painter's tape because it'll come off easily later. Alright, so there we have it. Now we remove this and we can see the outline area, and then on to the next steps where we'll place the feet into these designated areas. Step number 5, apply the adhesive promoter. So you'll notice in your packet, in your package, when you received your LowPro, inside was a little packet, and this is the adhesive promoter. So what we're going to do is we're going to open the adhesive promoter packet and carefully apply the promoter to the clean roof surface, covering both tape outlined areas, and you can see figure 5. This step is critical to ensure correct bonding when the feet are placed in the next step. Now we want to make sure when we apply this promoter that the temperature is between 60 and 80 degrees Fahrenheit. And I'm going to open this up. You get the little swab out here. Got promoter on it. We're going to take this and we're going to apply it to the roof surface inside the taped areas. Make sure we get good coverage. Very important step. Step number 6, apply the feet to the roof surface. So we're going to remove the feet from the main rail assembly. We're going to take off each of the 2 large lock nuts holding them on. I'm going to set that aside. Okay, now these are the feet that we're going to apply. And it says, peel the red liner plastic off the bottom of each foot and apply each foot in its tape outlined location by rolling it into position. This will make sure that air doesn't get trapped underneath the adhesive and create loss of a bond. So I'm going to go ahead and peel that off. We'll apply the first foot. Now, this is a special automotive adhesive. It's very, very strong. So you want to make sure when you put this foot in place that it goes in the exact position that you want it. Because if you put it in the wrong spot, it's not easy to get off. You can take it off, but it's not easy. So here we go. Foot number 1. Now it says to apply as much pressure as possible to the newly applied feet to make sure they are well bonded to the roof. Okay, so that foot is really well bonded to the roof. Alright, now we're going to go for the second foot. Again, you want to make sure it's in the exact position that you've got marked. And I'm going to roll it into place, avoiding any air bubbles underneath it. Now roll it into position. It says to apply as much pressure as you can to it to make sure you get the best possible bond you can get. So now you examine it very carefully and look all the way around. Make sure you've got a good bond all the way around, which we do. Okay, now that we've got the feet firmly attached to the roof, we're ready to move on to step number 7, which is install the aluminum rail onto the feet. Now I've pulled all the tape off, so now we've got a nice clean connection with the foot on there, and we're ready to attach the rail. So we're going to make sure the rubber washer is in place on the threaded bolt which is sticking out of the top of the foot. See that? Now we're going to place this main rail onto the threaded bolts which are sticking up out of the feet. Take that, put it on there, put that on there. Okay. Then we're going to put the nuts back on with the washers. And we're going to take our 9/16 socket and we're going to tighten these lock nuts back on to the foot. We're going to check the tension the whole time we're putting this on there. We can feel it starting to snug down here. So now I want to tighten it, but we don't want to over tighten it. I want to take it to the point where it just begins to compress the rubber washer, because we want it snug on there. That's very snug and very nice, but not overly tight. Now we're going to tighten this one the same way. We're going to keep going until we compress the rubber just slightly. And because we've got lock nuts on here, this is not going to come off as you're driving down the road. Okay, now that we've got the roof rail and the feet firmly attached to the roof, we're going to move on to step number 8, which is to check the bond of the rack on the roof. Grab the rack with both hands very firmly and with your full strength and body weight. Check the bond of the rack system to the roof, being careful not to dent or damage the roof metal in the process. Conduct a similar check before each trip when hauling cargo. Always want to make sure you travel safely. Make sure that your rack is always firmly attached. Always be mindful of anything, just like any other mechanical device. You want to make sure it's in good operating order before you proceed. So I'm going to check the bond on the roof. Okay, I'd say it's on there. Step number 9, installing the tailgate assembly. So now we're going to place the tailgate rack assembly onto the open tailgate, like this. Now it should be centered with the large mounting plate flat on the inside surface of the tailgate. So here we go, this is flat on the inside surface of the tailgate. And the top edge in firm contact with the tailgate as well, up here. So this is firm here as well. So now we've got that centered. Step number 10, drill holes and place screws. So now that we've got the tailgate assembly perfectly centered where we want it and in the correct position on the tailgate, making firm contact with the top edge of the tailgate, we're ready to drill holes. So now we're going to take our 5/32 drill bit and drill, and we're going to drill the holes for the tailgate assembly. Okay, now that I've finished drilling the holes with the 5/32 bit, I'm ready to place the screws into the holes. Now it's important here that we go in the sequence shown on the instructions. We've got screw number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. It's important to do it that way. That way we'll get maximum strength as we're putting these in, and we won't throw the thing out of tilt or create a funny condition. So we'll just put them all in the sequence shown here. Screw number 1. Now you want to drive the screws into the holes. You want to be sure to tighten enough to secure the plate to the tailgate, but don't over tighten and strip the holes. and 6. Now, got a very, very securely fastened rail assembly. That baby's ready to load. Now that we've got the rack firmly attached to the roof, we're ready to load it. You can see here we've got a 16-inch wood I-beam on here. It's 14 feet long. We're going to attach it by means of a ratchet strap with an S-hook. It's important to use that type of a strapping system on it. It's designed for the S-hook. So now we put it on here, cinch it up, and then ratchet into place. Nice and tight, firmly in place, ready to hit the road.